Welcome to the Dream 100 Show, the epicenter of influence, collaboration, and exponential growth. You're about to discover the power of relationships. Dream 100 relationships. And you're one relationship away from a totally different business and life. This is your host, Michael Tasner.
Hey there, and welcome to this week's edition of the Dream 100 Show. Today's topic is about this concept, this framework of a fortune map. A fortune map is the process, the strategy behind going from point A to point D. You're literally going to go through this map and get from where you're starting to whatever it is on the other side that you're aiming to accomplish. If you want to think about it with pirate terms, you're going on a treasure hunt. It's that pot of gold that's on the other end. But what I've been realizing, because a lot of you send emails, you write in, you ask different questions, you are not following the fortune map that I've outlined for you, the fortune map that I have taught you. Now, in this case, in this instance, we're leveraging and using the Dream 100 as the fortune map. So I wanted to talk through and do a kind of a rapid recap of the Dream 100, but also to embed in your mind, because I have made this exact mistake. I get taught something, and then I say, well, I like these aspects, but I don't love that, so I'm going to change that up there. Or, yeah, I don't see that point C is really necessary, or these couple of steps, I'm going to remove those. If somebody were to hand you a fortune map and say, this is the exact path that's going to take you from where you are today to exactly where you want to be, all that you have to do is to follow this map. Now, along the way, there are going to be some bumps, and there's going to be some twists and turns, and people or influences or your own mind. As I was driving into the office today, I was re-listening to for probably the 15th time, As a Man Thinketh. Because that war in our mind is often one of the most challenging, and I struggle with that every single day. You come into the office, you come into whatever your workplace is, you're ready to take on the day, and then bam, fire drill hits after fire drill after fire drill, and then you're derailed, and then you're questioning yourself. It's that roller coaster ride of the entrepreneur. What I have realized in entrepreneurship and business over the last 25 plus years of doing this is that most of the days are not like the high mountains. Like you're getting some of those really great wins, whether they're closing big deals or selling a lot of product or services or whatever those kind of big highs are. But then it often starts going back down and crashing, and then you're going back up, and it's that constant questioning. And what ends up happening is when you do not see something happening as fast as you would like, that tends to be that big area with the Dream 100 framework that I've taught you where people get tripped up, is that no one wants to put in the time. They don't want to put in the work. And I always thought that there were shortcuts, there were quicker ways to do things. Now, are there shortcuts to certain marketing tasks? 100%. You want to wait a couple of weeks to get some graphics from a graphic designer? Or do you want to leverage a few AI tools and get some graphics in 15 minutes? So there's definitely those shortcuts. However, if someone is handing you the playbook, literally saying, here's the fortune map, you want to go from here to here, follow these steps, you cannot deviate off of the path. If you knew all the answers, you would already be at that end point. And again, this episode today is just as much for me as it is for you. I've been blessed to have amazing success. I'm blessed with everything that I have, but I can promise you that I am still back at point A, working on getting myself to point D. It just changes on a regular basis. Your targets change, where you're headed changes. That revenue milestone, for example, you hit one milestone, then you're ready to go to the next, but it's a new process. So for some of you that are listening that you're like, well, Michael, I don't even have a business. So my point D is to get to $10,000 a month, for example. Other people that are listening, I mean, I've had the privilege of meeting a lot of you. Your milestone is 100 million or 500, like crazy numbers that I would deem crazy numbers in a good way. But you're still back at point A, aiming to get to point D. They're just the goalpost. That milestone has shifted. But you have to get out of the place where you feel like you can do something better. I can take this fortune map, I'm going to use it as a rough guide. If you're going to use something as a rough guide, you shouldn't even be using it at all. So Russell Brunson, they just had Funnel Hacking Live. I was not at that event. I was actually on vacation with my family in my favorite city, Orlando, Florida. But I did get to listen to a lot of the sessions and read all the notes and all that great stuff. And it was either the first session or the last one, but Russell Brunson basically said, you need to stop listening to 50 different people. You need to laser in on one expert, guru, methodology, framework, and dial it in, put on blinders, and just go. And I challenge you that if you're not where you would like to be, like if your business isn't where you'd like it to be, if your life isn't where you'd like it to be, look at how many different voices are guiding you, giving you different instructions. Now, I'm not saying stop reading books. I love to read. I've went through probably 20 plus books already this year, if not more. I love to listen to audiobooks. As I said, I was just listening to one on the ride in. But in terms of your core fortune map, your core methodology, you have to dial it in and literally have a paint by numbers where you can just execute. The execution and the staying the course are the two biggest mistakes that people are making day in and day out with the Dream 100. Most of the messages that I get in my inbox via DM, Michael, I tried it, it didn't work. Michael, I tried this, I didn't get the result. And then I ask a couple of questions. Before I even ask about, tell me your audience, who's on your Dream 100 list, what are the tactics that you've used? The first question that I reply back with is, how long have you been deploying it? That's question number one. Now, if someone writes back and they say 2 months, my reply is very, very simple. If you're following the fortune map that I've given you, you will know that 2 months is child's play. This is a longer term strategy. This is not a set it and forget it. This is you are building personal relationships that are going to double or triple your business. You're not selling $100 widget to one person here. You're building really robust relationships. You're going extremely deep with these relationships. 2 months is not enough time to do anything. But I get it. Oh, Michael, I need some results now. So as you know, we have a done-for-you Dream 100 service. And I talk to a lot of people, and they're like, yeah, I'm in. And I can tell you the investment is probably far less than you could ever imagine. Our goal is to make it as affordable to every entrepreneur as we possibly can because we know that it works. And who better to deploy it for you than the people that founded it, the people that execute it day in and day out. We're going to be following our exact fortune map. But what ends up happening almost every single time is people get impatient. We had a amazing company that was actually local to Buffalo, and I showed the entire strategy. We laid it out, we started, and then a month and a half in, now this is too much work. It's too much work for you to do a few podcasts a month. Now we thought we would have a bunch of new revenue, and in this case, investors. We thought we'd have some investors in the first month or two. And we're not talking investors that we're going to give $1,000. We were talking about leveraging this framework to build up a 10 to 50 plus million dollar kind of investment portfolio, which was then used to buy real estate and have this investment fund. And it was the exact same thing. People expect those quick results that are just, it's not that they're not going to potentially happen, but it goes back to the beginning. If you know that this is the fortune map, you get all of your social media, your brand, your website, you get all of that stuff in check, organized, locked and loaded. You work on yourself and your reputation and your brand first. You then work on building that Dream 100 list. Either your Dream 100 strategic partnerships, referral relationships, joint ventures, your Dream 100 potential clients or customers, or your Dream 100 press or media. You work on one of those three, building out people, businesses that can completely transform your life. You continue to work that where you're going deep on every one of those names. You're learning everything and anything about them, and then you get to work. You start building a digital relationship. You send a couple of gifts. You invite them on a podcast that you're going to start. You invite them again. You send another gift. You continue working them on social media by adding value to their life. You continue to hit those singles day in and day out, and you just keep the process going. If you know that that's the fortune map, that you continue to work those relationships, that, as you know, I've done several episodes about how long should this take? When do you stop? When do you cross that chasm of potentially getting results to the definition of insanity of expecting a different result? Like, where's that line? And for most, the line is 1.5 to 2 years. For some of you, it might say maybe the line's a year. But if you tell me, Michael, well, I mean, these names on here, they could result in $30 million in business. Why would you give up after 1 year? Why would you give up? Most of the entrepreneurs that I've interviewed that have failed, because I love interviewing people that went bankrupt, they lost everything, they lost their house, they had to lay off thousands of people or hundreds of people or a dozen people, they had to fire their spouse, their neighbor, their best friend because they couldn't succeed. Now, I love that for many reasons. Number one, I've had several businesses that have flopped. But I love to dig into what went wrong. And I've talked a little bit about this in other episodes. The biggest thing that went wrong is they invested most of their money in the things that did not matter. Well, Michael, they needed a great restaurant or a great product or an amazing app. You need that at some point, but if you have no money to get the word out, to market, you are in the marketing business. And I'm going to do an entire episode on that next week. You are in the marketing business, period. Almost every business is alike. You need to garner some attention, get them into your universe, and sell them something. Whether that's getting them into your restaurant and they're getting sold a meal, whether it's consulting, whether it's skincare products, whatever it is, you are in the marketing business. And if you're spending more in all of your time in improving, you're making a better product and doing all these other things, better operations, like saving money on taxes, all that stuff is important. But the people that have failed, they got distracted by all of that stuff and they didn't have enough money to market. But number two, they didn't have a fortune map to follow, and if they did, they deviated. They deviated off the path. They thought they had a better way to do it. If people are showing you that they have done something 100 times with 98% success, so 98 out of 100 times it has worked flawlessly, why would you think that you can do it better? Why would you think that you should do it differently? So my context for you today is some tough love. It's a stop constantly trying to reinvent the wheel. There is so much noise right now in this industry. There's so much marketing noise and it's mainly AI. But at the end of the day, and I'm not saying don't leverage AI, we're using it all day, every day. That's not the message. The message is that if you have a fortune map, follow the fortune map step by step by step. Put your blinders on and execute. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Don't think that you have a better way to do it. The most successful people take a fortune map, take a playbook, they put blinders on, they bury their head, and they execute. They don't get into analysis paralysis. They don't go down 15 other rabbit holes. They have blinders on. They go. They follow what people have already proven true time and time again. And I promise you that my team and I have proven the Dream 100 framework true hundreds, if not thousands of times, exactly as I'm teaching you. Finally, we have a few openings for our Done For You Dream 100. Michael at d100.com. Shoot me an email. We're probably going to add 2 or 3 Done For You clients. We take on a few at a time. We cap it And most people, when they get into our universe, they never leave because the results speak for themselves. Michael at D100.com. As always, thank you for listening. I'll catch you here next week. Signing off, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.